The Fate of the Jedi was the final series of the expanded universe before the Disney acquisition. It was probably my second favorite series after Legacy of the Force. Apocalypse was the last book in that series, and within that novel, Luke Skywalker faced what I would consider his greatest threat as the Grand Master of the New Jedi Order. But did you know that after that final battle, we nearly lost our beloved farm boy? He was left floating in the Lake of Apparitions, ready to slip below its dark surface and join his beloved wife, Mara. But something would not let him sink. He lay on the water hurt and exhausted, watching Abeloth's pale form vanish. Her eyes were empty and dark, her tentacles curled into loose balls. Her golden hair was fanned about her head in a floating halo, and she did not seem to be sinking so much as merely shrinking. And still, Luke did not sink. He was too weak to rise and could feel nothing of himself except the aching void Abeloth had torn in his chest. He was not afraid to die. He had lived a good life, filled with close friends and much-loved family. He had been of some small service to the galaxy and rekindled a light once thought lost in the New Jedi Order. He had few regrets and was ready to let another carry the torch. Lying in the water, he heard a voice, warm and familiar, from beside him. Luke turned to find Mara Jade's face breaking the surface. Then he saw a hand gripping the back of his biceps and realized that she was floating beneath him, preventing him from sinking. He felt his upper body rising as she tried to push him upward. Mara explained that it was not yet time for him to join her in death. She pointed past Luke's head toward the tattooed Sith who had helped Luke kill Abeloth. The stranger was on his feet, limping toward the far shore with both hands clutched to his chest. Luke forced himself to sit upright. He had no idea of the Sith's true identity, but it did not seem wise to allow him to return to the physical galaxy alone. Another familiar voice came from Luke's other side. It sounded sinister. He turned to find his nephew Jason looking up from the water. When Luke asked about the identity of the Sith, Jason explained that he was the one from his visions, the one he saw sitting on the throne of balance. Luke shook his head, refusing to believe the Sith would ever rule the galaxy again. The tattooed man stopped and whirled, and Luke prepared to dodge a fork of lightning. But the stranger was in no better shape to fight than Luke. He too had a gaping hole in his chest, and Luke could see that his entire form was shuddering. The Sith stood staring at them with one eye shining yellow and the other an empty socket. His right arm was but a ghost of a limb. He rebuked Luke's claim about the Sith, but Luke retorted and the stranger dipped his head in acknowledgement. Luke felt his energy and his determination come rushing back. A slow grin crept across the stranger's mouth, and Luke returned to his feet and watched until the Sith finally stepped onto the shore and vanished. The man was barely gone before Jason spoke again, this time from the water in front of Luke. He wanted to know about Abeloth. Luke studied his nephew's face, debating how to let him know that he bore personal responsibility for an apocalypse. He finally told Jason that he was the one who had released Abeloth. Jason refused to believe him, but Luke insisted, and the Grand Master then inquired why his nephew never asked him for help. Why did Jason need to become LordCallous and face the Sith alone? Jason explained it was not about the dark man he saw sitting on the throne of balance. It was about who he saw standing with him, his daughter, Alana. Subscribe and follow for more Star Wars content.